Trixie stared at the three fillies, jaw almost to the floor.
So, the story that inspired Trixie's act, that earned her cutie mark, was about your grandmother?
Trixie asked Apple Bloom, eyes wide with shock. Apple Bloom nodded nervously.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And that means that Trixie publicly humiliated the granddaughter of the one who is indirectly responsible for her cutie mark?
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Said Sweetie Belle, only to be elbowed by Scootaloo. Trixie lowered her head and pinned her ears, looking miserable all of a sudden.
Now look, it ain't your fault. You didn't know.
Said Apple Bloom, trying to comfort the mare-turned filly.
Trixie shouldn't have done it at all. Yeah, you're probably right. But has Applejack accepted your apology?
Asked Apple Bloom, a little surprised to see Trixie acting this way. She recognized the way the unicorn was holding herself. It was how a foal acted when they expected to be punished for something. The Crusaders were well acquainted with it, but this seemed like a really strange thing to expect to be punished for.
Applejack forgave Trixie, yes.
Trixie replied unsurely. After all, she hadn't exactly apologized. It hadn't bothered her before, but now it just felt so wrong that she hadn't. Something just seemed to click. What was it? She'd been forgiven, so why did she feel like she'd forgotten something?
Well, it's water under the bridge.
Said Apple Bloom in a serious a tone, as if filly could put something.
She forgave you, so the only thing you need to do is make sure it don't happen again, right?
Trixie still looked unsure, wanting to listen, but not sure if it was right or not.
Trixie guesses that makes sense.
Good!
Said Scootaloo, eager to move on.
Now, let's do something fun, okay?
Trixie looked about as confused as Princess Luna had when confronted with the concept.
Exactly what do foals do for fun?
Scootaloo rubbed her head with her hoof, remembering Trixie's childhood hadn't included much playtime with other foals.
Let's see. How about we play a board game? We've got a lot of them around here we tried to earn our cutie marks with.
Trixie once more looked uncertain.
Sure, that sounds like fun. All right, my employees, we're about to get to work.
Said Checker in a normal, detached fashion, like a boss speaking to office workers in their cubicle instead of hired guns.
And no, it does not involve kidnapping or brute force.
She stated, cutting off Rover as he tried to respond.
We are doing things my way. You work for me, remember?
She stated, then gave a genuine chuckle, something that scared Rover and his packmates even more than her cold attitude.
Dig underground and hide near that bin over there.
She said, pointing to the bin containing the pile of the Apple family's perfect apples.
When Trixie is as close as possible to the door, open it. That's all you have to do.
But how do you?
My way. This is all you need to know.
Replied Checker in her cold tone and accompanied by an icy glare.
Now go.
She ordered.
Do it, or you'll get your paycheck.
As the dogs rushed off, she gave another disturbing chuckle, as if seeing her obey her actually rose a bit of joy under her cold exterior. She looked back at her at her yes stallion.
Helping Hooves, you know you're expendable, correct? That I could fire you and get another 100 like you as easily as I can breathe. Correct.
She asked in her normal cold tone.
Yes, Miss Monarch.
Replied Helping Hoof, not seeming to find the subject unnerving on the surface.
But then again, even if I did, you'd still probably be working for me.
Said Checker, her cold personality unchanging, but giving a cruel smirk.
So many ponies work for me and they never know it. I'm a privileged sort that way, you know? And that's just how I like it.
Yes, Miss Monarch.
Checker turned away, watching the apples and their friends on one side, especially Rainbow Dash, then looking back to the Diamond Dogs, singing woo.
I don't have a tune for this, so
I do in the chicken dance style.
no. There are two types in the world, or so you're told. The strong who care only for themselves and no other, and the weak who treat every pony like their brother. And what you won't find in that saying of old is one who is above all the rest.
Checker sung, projecting her chessboard once more, all the pieces moving on their own with their real-life counterparts. Her singing was rather like a dance in its pitch and tone, but actually had a bit of passion in it since she was subject.
This is the place to which I do belong, she who controls both the weak and the strong, the one who is the best of the best.
She continued, watching out events from the sidelines.
It's something that long ago I realized, just something I always have possessed. To me, the world is my own game of chess. At least it is through my eyes.
Sung Checker, looking at her little chessboard as she did so, pieces moving this way and that with their real-life counterparts.
I discovered my talent when I was just a filly. How easy it is to make my puppets dance. I just point the way and away they prance. How do I do it? It's quite simple, really. All it takes is knowing the tricks, knowing how to twist someone's heart, make them think they've lost from the start. A little deceit in the mix. Or you can wear just the right disguise if you hide behind the right mask. Manipulation becomes an easy task, especially if you see the world through mine.
Checker continued, her pace picking up, but keeping the same calm tone as it began with. She was watching Applejack closely, her and Rainbow Dash analyzing their every moment. Rainbow Dash was running on the treadmill with Big Mac to power the cider maker, and Applejack was bucking trees for apples, facing the opposite direction as Rainbow Dash. Checker's horn glowed, and an apple moved a few inches to the right in a basket so that it was lined up just right.
It's not very hard, this I promise. Move one little piece just right, and you can start a big fight, and I am the master of this.
She motioned, helping Hoof to move and check the alignment of the apple from the bushes with a small extending telescope produced from his pocket. He motioned her to the right a little, as she adjusted accordingly until he gave her a nod and stealthily returned to her.
I'm the one who guides their fates, if only the strongest will thrive. And why is it any surprise that for me it's always check and mate?
Right as Applejack bucked again, Checker's horn glowed, and Applejack's front hoofs did the same. Slipping and causing her to miss, Checker's magic subtly guided her hind legs right into the apple, launching it so that it slammed right into Rainbow's flank, throwing her off balance and making her trip. She fell on the moving treadmill, causing her to be spun around in the treadmill until Pinkie Pie tried pulling her off and tried pulling the brake lever, but it jammed, briefly flashing with Checker's magic. Rarity ran to help her as she tried to pull the lever.
If you don't know, it's time you realize nothing is out of my reach. Your life hangs on my speech. That's how it is through my eyes. To resist me is so unwise. So just sit back and relax. There's no need for your will to tax. Just look at the world.
Checker's song, never changing from the soft dance-like pace she used as she released her magic hold, allowing Pinkie to pull the brake at just the right moment, launching Rainbow Dash out of the treadmill and right into Applejack as the Earth Pony ran to help her friend.
In my eyes.
Finished Checker, giving a cruel, cold smirk. Rainbow snarled as she stood up, already not in the best of moods from her lack of sleep and Trixie's presence in Ponyville.
What's a big idea of nailing me with an apple?
She yelled at AJ. Applejack gave a growl.
You think I'd do that on purpose?
She replied, looking rather insulted by the assumption. Checker looked to her chessboard and moved the pieces for Rainbow and Applejack so they faced each other. She gave it a thoughtful look.
Nice and 6.
She stated, giving a cold glare at the Trixie piece. Trixie telekinetically moved one of her 2 remaining checkers and jumped Scootaloo's last 3.
Oh, I lost!
Exclaimed Scootaloo, a little disappointed in tone. Trixie suddenly cringed, as if expecting something bad to happen.
Good job, Trixie. You're really good.
Yeah, way to go,
Sweetie Belle
Trixie.
stated with a bit of a smile.
Yeah, way to go, Trixie.
Apple Bloom added, also giving the blue unicorn a smile. Trixie blinked, looking up.
You're not mad? You're not mad, Trixie Mon?
She asked, cocking her head in bewilderment. Scootaloo blinked, giving the mare turned Philly a confused look.
No. No pony likes losing, but I'm not gonna get mad just because some pony beat me fair and square.
Apple Bloom looked concerned.
Why do you think we have to be mad?
Trixie pinned her ears back and lowered her head.
The only pony Trixie ever played games with was her older sister, and she was a sore loser, to say the least. The one time Trixie actually won her sister's favorite game, her sister put a hole in the neighbor's window.
The Crusaders cringed.
Baseball?
Scootaloo asked. Trixie shook her head.
Chess.
Wow. Sore loser.
Sweetie Belle replied with wide eyes.
Well, we're not like that.
Scootaloo said, as reassuring as she knew how to be. She wasn't that good at that kind of thing after all.
You beat me fair and square. Good job.
Trixie gave a small, timid smile.
Thank you.
She said softly, then looked up.
So what should we do now?
Well, we could play another game, or go outside and play.
Said Scootaloo, thinking it out.
What do you want to do, Trixie?
Let's play Pokemon Go.
Asked Sweetie Belle, the trio looking at her expectantly. Trixie shifted nervously, swinging one of her legs back and forth uncomfortably, having little to no knowledge of the subject.
Well, it is a pretty day outside.
Said Apple Bloom, leading the way outside. Rainbow Dash was taking a break while Big Macintosh took over the treadmill for a bit, Check and Monarch watching closely from her hiding place. As the drowsy Pegasus walked over to a tree to try and rest, Applejack doing much the same on the other side, Checker smirked at the opportunity. As they lay down, her horn lit up, and she magically shifted the apples off their stems and dropped them on both ponies en masse. Rainbow growled, popping out of the pile of apples, still cranky from lack of sleep.
Hey, watch where you're going, Applejack.
She yelled, glaring at the earth pony.
I was. I don't know about you.
AJ yelled back, glaring right back. Checker gave a cruel smirk as the two argued.
Let's see what's next.
She asked, looking over every pony and everything with her analytic eyes. Stop calling me. Analytic eyes. Hers fell on Pinky, collecting apples and bringing them to the sorters. The Cutie Mark Crusaders bounced the ball back and forth between them with headbutts. Each seemed to have a good time with it, while Trixie just watched nervously from the sidelines.
You want to play, Trixie?
Asked Apple Bloom as she bounced the Goodaloo. Trixie looked uncertain, swinging her front leg back and forth nervously.
But what if, you know...
She said, pointing to her horn.
Don't worry, Twilight put a special spell on this ball so it won't pop.
Said Sweetie Belle, bouncing it to Apple Bloom, making sure her horn hit it to prove the point.
She gave it to me for my birthday a few months ago.
Oh, okay.
Said Trixie, moving forwards as the group made room for her and began bouncing the ball back and forth once more. Finally, it was sent her way by Apple Bloom. She closed her eyes and bounced it towards Goodaloo with a grunt, then blinked as the Pegasus bounced it to Sweetie Belle. Sweetie Belle then passed it back to Trixie, who sent it to Apple Bloom the third time to her. By Scootaloo, Trixie actually gave a real, genuine smile. Oh.
This is actually kind of fun.
She admitted it.
I can't believe it. I'm actually having fun playing ball with a bunch of fools. This is what I was missing all those times Father wouldn't let me play with other fools. See, told you it was.
Said Apple Bloom before sending it her way again. Trixie happily headbutted it. Trixie happily headbutted and sent it to Sweetie Belle, smiling brightly.
Now how in Celestia's name did this happen?
Yeah, alright, froze. Asked Applejack, looking at the now broken treadmill, scratching her head with her hoof. One of the gears was missing completely, rendering it effectively useless. Without a replacement, she didn't notice the disturbed ground next to the machine, as if a hole had been dug and filled in. She gave a very aggravated sigh.
I guess we'll just need to get another one. Can anything else go wrong today?
Don't say that. Never say that. She asked, looking over to see Rarity and Pinkie Pie picking up apples from the several baskets that bottoms had broken while being carried, and she herself covered in apple cider from a barrel that had sprung a leak while she was carrying it. Checker coldly pocketed the gear.
Good job, Spot. It was an excellent idea to send you.
She said, her tone as if she'd done all the work. She took out a few gems and deposited them in the diamond dog's paw.
Now get back to your place and wait for the time to be right.
She ordered in her cold, unemotional tone, causing the diamond dog to run off. She looked out as Applejack examined the machine, frustrated from Checker's manipulations. Excuse me. While Rainbow Dash stood nearby, sulking from just how things were going before lying down and trying to rest.
Well, they look suitably angry. Time to check how our other little pawns are doing.
She said, walking over with Helping Hoof following closely. She peeked out of the bushes to see Trixie still happily playing ball with the Crusaders.
Oh, look, she's happy. We can't have that, now can we?
No, Miss Monarch.
Answered Helping Hoof.
Miss Monarch?
He said, professionally, but with a hint of uncertainty in his voice.
It has occurred to me that this course of action may cause considerable losses to the Apple family. It's not a 100% certain thing, but it's still a considerable possibility. Not a certain one. They could very well end up fine. It's quite possible to lose a great deal of money.
And?
Well, is it really necessary to risk harming some ponies we don't even know to ruin this mare? I mean, clearly what you say goes, but aren't there other options?
Checker gave him the look of someone consulting someone about a business decision.
And is there a benefit to me if I choose not to make this move? Does pursuing this course of action harm me or my company in any fashion?
Well, no, Miss Monarch.
Then why should it concern me?
Asked Checker, callously turning back to Trixie and the Crusaders.
I have no use for apples. There is no gain to be had by changing my course of action, therefore I won't, and that is final.
She stated in an absolutely cold, detached, even more than normal. I'm voicing more than normal.
Understood.
Yes, Miss Monarch.
Checker turned as the four fillies continued playing with their ball, the mare looking at Trixie's smiling face like it was some hideous thing that shouldn't even exist. Her horn flashed as she changed the trajectory of the ball by a few inches, causing it to miss Applebloom and bounce close to the bush. Checker stuck her horn out, keeping the ball between the four fillies and herself to hide her from sight. She touched her glowing horn to the ball carefully, causing it to glow momentarily before she pulled back into the bush as Applebloom ran over.
Got it!
The Earth Pony filly called as she picked up the ball. She looked down at it and her eyes suddenly seemed to roll over, getting hearts in them. Oh, not this.
Applebloom?
Asked Scootaloo, noticing Applebloom had froze up.
Applebloom, is everything all right?
Trixie asked. She and the others walking over the moment they looked at the ball, their eyes too rolled over in hearts. They all looked at the ball like it was something they couldn't live without, like they absolutely had to have it.
Hey, let me have it.
Called Scootaloo, trying to pull it from Applebloom's grasp.
It's mine anyway. I want it back.
Sweetie Belle exclaimed, joining in the tugging match.
No, Trixie wants it.
Trixie yelled, trying to pull it from the others.
Trixie must have it.
Checker gave it another cruel smirk.
Not that they're under my spell too deep to know what's going on.
She said, grabbing the ball with telekinesis and bouncing it from their grasp, all four blindly running after it as she guided it to where she wanted it to go, As they got closer, she moved small rocks and tripped the Crusaders one by one, allowing Trixie to move on ahead and finally catch the ball, spinning head over heels with it.
Trixie got it!
Exclaimed Trixie, looking at the ball adoringly. Hooves stuck one of his long arms out of the ground and undid the latch on the bin of perfect apples, which Trixie was right in front of. Checker gave a cruel smile and concentrated on the ball, shattering her spell. Trixie groaned as the wanted-needed spell was broken.
What happened?
She asked, shaking her head in a disorientated fashion. She turned as the door swung open, and the apples fell on her in an avalanche, causing her to let out a loud scream.